how does it make sense? I can just say it before, and then you can play it. How does it make sense to be an independent network, but you're bringing on corporate media? What does that do? You're bringing on corporate writers from corporate media, but you're an independent network.
They brought on Washington Post. He worked for.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense that you're an independent network using corporate sources.
Washington Post's Josh Rogan, who is making his return. Hey, Breaking Points. I'm joined by the Washington Post's Josh Rogan, who is making his return to Breaking Points to discuss Speaker Pelosi's upcoming trip to Taiwan. Well, I said upcoming, but who knows if it's actually going to happen or not. We'll get into that here. Let's just start with the obvious.
I'm sorry. I just want to say real quick. We talked about this before, CJ. I think we did a episode with Savvy. You guys noticed the one black motherfucker they found at Breaking Points?
Yeah. Yep. The one black person that they found is this person trained by the Hudson Institute and as black as Obama. I'm gonna say I don't have a problem saying that. Like, this person has no representation at all that he can espouse from his lips that represents anything black whatsoever.
I just talked to a ton of working class people at our RB and barbecue. Ton of parents I gave diapers to. We had a barbecue at a homeless camp, fed some people there, and there was a lot of black people that I talked to. This guy is out of touch with every single black person I know. I reported that 75% of black people are supportive of taking police fund and reallocating it to social services, meaning 75% of black people support defunding police. And there was a poll that came out that said that Americans are becoming more socialist. And then if you dive in that poll, you want to know the demographic that is most likely to be socialist than anyone else? Yes, you guessed it. Black Americans. Black Americans are the most socialist people in this country. And then the media didn't report it. I literally had to dive in the article and I reported it on my channel. So this guy is the black representative at Breaking Points, a right-winger. Flip a coin. What the chances of that?
You think that's
an accident?
But it speaks to Breaking Points having the same problem that corporate media have. And what we're talking about is identity politics and the misuse of. See, this is a black face. He like Nick just said, nothing he comes out of his mouth sounds like anything that any black person any of us know. But you see how somehow this is the only black person that is in their orbit. This is the only black person in your orbit. Okay? It's like when white celebrities, Nick, say, I'm not racist when all their friends are black capitalists. It's like, I'm not racist. Look at all my friends. Look at, I know Chris Rock. I know Will Smith. It's like, motherfucker, those are black capitalists. What the fuck are you talking about?
These motherfuckers like, hey, I know a guy. Like, we want to make a network. We're gonna have Breaking Points. So obviously, we gotta have at least one black guy. And Cyber, like, I know a guy. He's a fucking neocon. Lloyd Austin. Like, you might as well have Lloyd Austin sitting there.
I know. It is terrible. That's terrible. Let's continue.
All right, let's continue. Let me mute here.
You know what? Would it be better if I play it that way? You don't have to keep going in and out like that. Is that better for you? You're still muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah, that works. Sorry, man.
Yeah, so it's on YouTube, right? Just send it to me.
Chat and I'll read some
let me get it. Let me do that because I want you to be able to like talk without having to stop the whole thing. Yeah,
I need to get another monitor. I only got one monitor, so if I had two monitors, I'll be able to play the video. Anyway, we get there eventually.
That's we get there. Just give us a couple of years. Yeah, give us a couple of years. First we do the groundwork in the community, then we'll worry about our equipment. That's just how we roll. All right, so let me share my screen. It's opening.
Let me read the super
you can read that. Go ahead.
Thank you for the $5, Zasmin. I'm gonna try to get to the rest of super chats when we get to a breaking point in the segment. The white dude will say Communist Party of China rather than Chinese government. This same thing that Ro Khanna did. Remember when Ro Khanna was on what is it on MSNBC? It doesn't matter, same thing. So he was like, You guys think the Chinese Communist Party should tell Nancy?
Right.
Why not say the Chinese government?
That's the point. They're making it a point to say it that way in the same way the Republicans made it a point to say Barack Hussein Obama.
Yes.
Why are you saying that? Same way. Oh, let me share it. I thought I was sharing
the same thing. Thank for the 5 CA. That clip is 100% Western exceptionalist garbage. I think that Canada. Anyway, you 100% right. This whole segment is Western exceptionalism, and yeah, I'm glad I can do it this way because I definitely want to stop it a few times because they get started like we're gonna warm up. We just start slow. We're starting neocon shit slow, and then as the interview go on, they get more unhinged. And like they were just warming up. They're like, all right, we're gonna go full Dick Cheney around 5 to 6 minutes in.
Oh god.
Let's play it.
They're like, all the leftists are gone by now, so let's get into some real shit, and that's when they start.
Hey, Breaking Points. I'm joined by the Washington Post's Josh Rogan, who's making his return to Breaking Points to discuss Speaker Pelosi's upcoming trip to.
Hang on, let me refresh it. I don't know. It just feels to me like it's dragging. So let me refresh this video, and then I'll play it again. Don't worry, we're gonna get into the video. I know it seems like we're stalling because we don't want to hear this neocon shit, but
hey, Breaking Points.
It's really terrible.
By the Washington Post's Josh Rogan, who is making his return to Breaking Points to discuss Speaker Pelosi's upcoming trip to Taiwan. Well, I said upcoming, but who knows if it's actually going to happen or not. We'll get into that here. Let's just start with the obvious. Why is Speaker Pelosi's prospective trip to Taiwan so controversial?
Because
it's controversial. The point he's making is that.
Go ahead. You're like, why is it so controversial? What is the work? Come on, man. Why are people complaining that you're gonna invade someone's sovereignty, another country's sovereignty? This is what we do. This is what we do. What kind of question is that? But anyway, go ahead. You can keep it playing.
The Chinese Communist Party shouldn't be able to tell Americans.
Why are you phrasing it like that? The Chinese Communist Party, are they communists, Nick?
They are more market socialist right now, but that's more of a step to communism. So, but they
right, but that's the point. They're not communists, is what I'm saying. They're not communists.
That's just the name of the name of the government, and that's the government that's massively supported by China. So it doesn't make any sense. And this is the same thing where he's saying the exact same line from Rokan. You guys think they're not getting a script? This is a script. The Chinese Communist Party don't have the right to tell us what to do. Like, imagine Vladimir Putin like, y'all gonna have a prep rally and at a Texas secession event, and then I was like, hey, yo, you can't tell Putin what to do. People would honestly be like, yeah, you're being ridiculous, Nick, and I would be being ridiculous. If you as a state have the right to impose your sovereignty, protect your sovereignty. You can then debate whether someone's been too aggressive, whether somebody's been too passive. But if you look at geopolitical politics over the last few decades, the United States has been constantly crossing red lines. Then every other state, they back down, they will bluff, and then they're going to get into this very soon. They will bluff because the United States is crazy. If you have a country, you have red lines, and you're allowed to do that because you're allowed to protect your sovereignty. That is your duty in the social contract, right? So if you have a state that's constantly violating treaties, crossing red lines, you're gonna put out a message like, "Yo, we're gonna escalate. This is what happened at NATO, where Russia said if you vote Sweden and Finland into NATO, the nuclear option is on the table." I report on that. That is what they said. That was a bluff. And the West called their bluff because the West is fucking crazy. My question before we continue the video, why is it upon Russia, China, and Iran, and every other country to back down to the U.S. while the U.S. can do whatever it wants? And then whenever anyone else responds, people are like, oh my God, Chinese aggression. And as this video go on, you guys are going to see how insane the contradictions this empire puppet has. And if you guys want to be like, oh my God, it's just a Breaking Points guest. Hey, what's that dude fucking name? Malcolm, whatever, black dude. You please push back. Right now, if this dude was on this show, he started out with that shit, I'm immediately pushing back. I want before you guys let Breaking Points.
No, he agrees with it.
Yeah,
He agrees with it. In particular, Sagar and this guy, both from the Hudson Institute, have particular policies about China in particular.
Yeah, you can keep playing.
Americans when and where they can go places seems like a pretty basic point. There's no, like, how dare they? What right do they have to tell Nancy Pelosi or anyone else that they can go to Taiwan whenever, or they can't whenever they want, to threaten punishment in a crisis? It just shows that the Chinese Communist Party is just getting more aggressive and more reckless and more threatening and more expansionist. And that's,
you see how he just jumped? He's made a statement and just says that shows that my statement just shows that they're insane. You see, no evidence. Like what you so what he's basically saying is, what right does China have for a foreigner to come to part of their country? That's silly to them. So what right does Joe Biden have to say about, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia coming to Texas? Like, what does Joe Biden have to say with that? It's that ridiculous to me.
You see how you paint that Chinese aggression? Because they're protecting their sovereignty? Like, what? This is ridiculous. This is U.S. At no point in this video do they ever outline why is Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan. The only purpose of the trip is escalation. Is she going there for a vacation? The fuck? Well, what's the point? Just for escalation. But you see, I just want to highlight the point of view. That's why we say this is imperialist garbage. But you can keep playing. We can try and keep playing for a while this time.
Should shock a lot of people. Now, the reason it's controversial here in Washington is because President of the United States blurted out on the tarmac that he didn't like it, and he revealed what had been going on internally between the Biden White House and the Pelosi team for several weeks, which was their long, quiet diplomacy to impress upon Nancy Pelosi that it was just too risky of a time for a host of reasons, that the intelligence showed that, this could spark a crisis. The Chinese were taking it as an escalation, rightly or wrongly, and that the Biden administration, the military, were the ones who are going to have to deal with that. But she was just not convinced. She just didn't care. For her, this is her legacy. She's not going to be speaker much longer. She's not going to be in Congress much longer. If she wants to go to Taiwan as Speaker of the House, this is it, basically. So that's a risk that she's willing to take. It's just not a risk that the White House is willing to take. And there's the rub.
Can you speak to the history of U.S.?
That's in his first bill. So this is a good time when I chime in. You see, I said this is Nancy Pelosi's legacy. And this is a risk she's willing to make for her legacy. And then he's saying that like that's a neutral position. You should be roasting for that. Nancy Pelosi trying to start World War III for her legacy because she want to be known as the person who stood up to China. She want to make a campaign ad where she said Nancy Pelosi stood up to the Chinese Communist Party, and she is really willing to risk World War III over that. And he's stating that as a duh, like as if she has the right for that. You see the insane point of view of these people? But go ahead, Cesar. You can add, and then we can play the video.
I'm just gonna, because I hit the button. So let me just fast forward to the part where it goes.
So now we get into the first question, and now we're gonna see. If you guys think he's crazy in the beginning, this guy he go full blown Mike Pompeo throughout the course of this interview. So let's play here.
Risk that the White House is willing to take, and there's the rub.
Can you speak to the history of U.S.?
Real quick. Notice in this interview, the Biden administration, as we covered many times, is an insane warmongering administration. But what Nancy Pelosi is doing is so crazy. Even the Biden administration, like, whoa, Nancy. So the Joe Biden right-wing extreme warmongering administration is even looking at Nancy Pelosi like, oh, this is insane. So Nancy Pelosi is trying to force Joe Biden's hand and trying to drag Joe Biden to the right. Yeah, how crazy of a statement is that? And then in this video, Breaking Point's guest defends Nancy Pelosi and criticizes Biden. You see the perspective he says here? Oh my God, the Biden administration is undermining Nancy Pelosi. And he's gonna get worse in this interview. You can let it play because that's the theme they're gonna continue to hit on this interview.
Elected officials engaging with Taiwan. So, for example, like President Trump very controversially called the Taiwanese, like after he was elected, the CCP did not like that. Just speak to the history there. I know pre-Speaker Gingrich visited Taiwan. Like, what's the history there?
Right. Well, congressional delegations have been going to Taiwan for decades, and there's a typical playbook. The Chinese Communist Party bitches and moans, and then they back down, and everyone goes
because
on
you guys
with
are
their
crazy.
Now, yeah.
And now he's gonna explain how the United States constantly violates the sovereignty of China, but then China bitches and moans, and then China does nothing about it. You know why? Not because do you guys think Chinese people are just bitch made? They do it because they understand the global calamity.
Yeah, they're cool-headed. They're cool-headed. Yes. That's why.
You guys understand why I say China and Russia and Iran? These are the countries with restraints. The United States are like, we're going to invade and violate your sovereignty, and we dare you to do something about it. We dare you. We will ruin this entire economy. Because if China and U.S. went to war, and they're going to say this in the video, and Ro Khanna said this as well. Ro Khanna said the worst thing China would do is to attack Nancy Pelosi because that would devastate the Chinese economy. And what that statement is so evil because he leaves out by omission that war would destroy our economy as well.
Yeah,
he doesn't bring that up. So he's
like a lot faster. It'll be similar to what happened to. Just imagine PPEs, but apply that to like food and everything and medicine. You know how we don't manufacture anything? Just imagine.
So they're saying the working class, the global working class, because Africa is already being affected by the Ukraine war and their sanctions. Imagine the U.S. versus China. They are trying to make that happen, and they are willing to destroy the global working class to prevent the U.S. The change of a unipolar world. That's how insane the U.S. is. This is very easy to get this issue right. And look at this insane position of breaking points. Now, I know I talk a lot. I'm going to let it play a little bit. So, because I wanted to frame this right, because this is an insane video. It's hard to get through, but I'm gonna try to let it play a bit.
Okay, so I'll play it now.
Yes, Speaker Gingrich was the first and so far the only House Speaker to go, but at that time he was in the opposition, and so it couldn't really be seen as a U.S. government action per se, rightly or wrong.
That's the last time. Couldn't be seen as a U.S. action because he was in the minority group.
And the difference now with Speaker Pelosi is that the Chinese can't understand. They really don't believe us when we say that, like, the President of the United States can't tell his speaker from his own party not to do something he doesn't want him to he doesn't want her to do. They don't get that in their system. If you defy the president, you die. You go to jail. Your whole family is done forever. So they look at that and they're like, "Oh, the Biden."
Oh God, go ahead.
He is saying that in our country, Nancy Pelosi can defy the order of the presidency and start a war with another country. And he says it like it's a good thing. He's like, yeah, Nancy Pelosi has the power to start a war with China against the wish of the commander-in-chief. Who's the bad guy, guys? Are you serious? Who listens to this and thinks we're the good guy in this situation?
People who watch Westerns. People
crazy.
Who watch Westerns and think people like John Wayne is the good guy in a Western, like think that the cowboys, they're the good. That's who believes this stuff. Like literally, that's who believes this stuff. So the people who read Washington Post, and I got to say this, I was going to save it to the end or later, but just understand this is independent media. What is the purpose of having independent media if you're going to have corporate conversations? It just doesn't make any, like, you don't have, like, put this on your realignment podcast. Why is this video being played on Breaking Points?
And they do that all the time. Breaking Points got, like, all this massive platform, and they do these deeply unserious videos all the time where they're like, oh my God, CNN Plus. Oh my God, you guys see this video from the podcast?
Yeah.
I'm like, who gives a shit? But anyway,
independent media, and this is what you're doing with your independent, with your money you're getting from people. This
White House must be screwing with us. And from Pelosi's perspective, it's just like, oh no, this is a thing that we should be able to do. And she's got a sort of an instinct to defend the prerogative of the legislative branch and all of that. But, at the end of the day, it's going to be the administration who has to deal with the crisis if the Chinese do something reckless, because what's changed, the direct answer to your question is what's different now is.
Yeah. If they do something reckless, it's like, it's always, if you defend yourself, that's reckless to a bully.
This is some mob shit, CJ. Hey, man, you don't want to do anything stupid, okay? You're going to play ball with me, okay, CJ? You're going to behave, right? I don't want anything stupid to happen. Yeah. I don't want you to get reckless, okay? That is what the U.S. is doing. They are a mafia. Well, you can play video.
Is that the CCP is much, much worse. And there are people inside that leadership who would love a crisis. And by the way, their punishment wouldn't necessarily come down on us. It's not really about them shooting Nancy Pelosi out of the sky. It's about them punishing Taiwan, because they always go after the weaker party. And that could be a range of military and economic pressures that the Taiwanese are going to have to deal with through no fault of their own. So I think there is legitimate risk here. And there is a discussion to be had over cost and benefits. But if you're Nancy Pelosi, you're thinking, well, I want to be I envision myself as some sort of like leader on U.S.-China relations, and that means I have to show up in Taiwan. It's going to be so important. Then none of those calculations are going to stop her.
Yeah, this is so interesting because a million different questions come up. So I read your piece. We'll link to it in the show notes, obviously, but you asked a couple relevant questions. So a huge question here is just this: is China bluffing? Question. A little earlier in this interview, you pointed out they routinely bluster and say things like that. But one could easily say, before 1914, there was all sorts of bluster, and then finally something big just happened. So how do we weigh the track record of these situations not escalating versus the risk of something finally escalating at that last second?
Pause. Let me rephrase this question in a point of view with someone with sanity. Okay? He's asking, he's saying historically, we have undermined the sovereignty of countries. We have escalated with China, and we keep daring them to act. And then the Chinese bluff, and because the Chinese have restraint, and because Russia have restraint, he says, well, these countries have a history of bluffing. So why would we assume they're not bluffing this time? What? That's your follow-up question. Marshall. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Marshall. That's after that unhinged spill by the Washington Post columnist reporter. His follow-up is, yeah, the United States have a long history of making people bluff because we're fucking crazy. Why can't we do it again? Go ahead, answer that question.
I just don't think it's a coincidence that Marshall delivers interviews like this. And he has been trained by the Hudson Institute. It's not a coincidence to me that he's not pushing back. It's not a coincidence that he's fascinated by this article. He's trained by the Hudson Institute. So I'm going to leave it there because I got more to say later after he says a little more crazy stuff.
We're about 50 minutes in, so let's let it play. I'm sorry, I see you guys. I really got to let it play, but it's so crazy. I had to add context. I think I added enough context. I think I added enough.
So we'll try to let it play at least 2 minutes without saying nothing. So let's see if we can get to 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So let's all right. So I'm gonna turn my mic off.
I think the best way to think about it is this. The situation is escalating. Okay, because of what the Beijing is doing, they're constantly escalating. They're becoming more menacing, sending out more planes, doing more dangerous stuff near our stuff. Expanding their military presence, building nuclear weapons, hundreds of nuclear weapons. For what reason? What do they need 500 new nuclear weapons for? It's crazy. And expanding all the time. So that's a change of the status quo. Now, their propaganda says that we're the ones that are escalating, that we're the ones becoming more aggressive, and they're just responding to us, which is a lie. The truth is we're responding to them. But when something like this happens, you could see easily why the Biden administration is concerned. They're going to turn it into propaganda. They're going to be like, see, the U.S. is escalating on us. And they could use that as an excuse to change the status quo on the ground. If they do a flyover of Taiwan proper just for one example, or if they close off the strait, for a more drastic example, that'll be something that'll be probably irreversible in terms of its impact. And I get it, you know what I mean? Like we don't want to hand them those easy wins. And if we're going to have a crisis with Beijing over Taiwan, we'd like it to be on our terms, and we'd like it to be when we're ready, not necessarily when Nancy Pelosi happens to have a congressional recess, And so there's a chess game going on here, okay, between the Biden administration and the CCP. And Nancy Pelosi just sat down and made a move for us. And the Biden people are like, wait a second, we didn't ask you to do that. We don't like the move that you made. And she's like, tough shit. So, my instinct, and I think a lot of people, especially in Congress's instinct, is to be like, screw you, CCP. We're going to go to Taiwan and that's it. And on balance, I think the funny thing is now, because of what Biden did, because he made it so public, now she pretty much has to go. Now she can't back down. Now it would.
That's a real quote. That's a real quote. Now he said Nancy Pelosi must go or the West looks weak. This is as far right as it gets, guys. Dick Cheney, Mike Pompeo. This is that level of just straight up neocon ideology that was repeated on breaking points. Now, do you guys think we was overreacting when we did our preface with our headline here? This is it. This is as bad as it gets. CJ, you have anything you want to add? And then we can just do another.
Yeah, I mean, it just to me, it just doesn't feel like an independent network with these types of interviews. It doesn't feel like an independent network. And I also noticed that if you watch their videos, Sagar talks a lot more than Crystal talks. Like if you notice, when it was complete opposite on the Ryzen, like Crystal was like the main lead. She is still the face sort of Breaking Points, more so than Sagar. I would say both, but more so than Sagar. But Sagar clearly talks. He dominates the discussions, most of the discussion, except for the, her little, do your, union stuff, do your Democrats is bad, do your progressive thing. She'll do those things, but any topic outside of specifically progressive topics, Sagar is the one that's leading the discussion. It doesn't feel independent. And then you're telling me you have 40,000 paying cut. Who's paying for it? Because it's not the same people that were watching you on Ryzen.
The last thing I'm gonna say, just because as a response to what he said, you saw everyone in the chat. This man legitimately said China is the aggressor because they have their stuff next to our military bases. That's in the South Sheets. Like we literally got military bases all over Russia and near China. And then he said Beijing is escalating because they're ramping up the military in response of us pointing our guns at them.
I already knew I was going to rewind it to that part because this first 10 seconds that we were listening to, I could barely contain myself. Let me just play it again. It's like 20 seconds.
Yeah, we can play for a quiet bit and then we can
I think
we can move on to the next subject after our next.
Yeah. We're not going to listen to the whole because we just had so much to say. But just listen to this crap.
I think the best way to think about it is this. The situation is escalating. Okay. Because of what the Beijing is doing. They're constantly escalating.
They're constantly escalating.
More menacing, sending out more planes, doing more dangerous stuff near our stuff.
Doing more dangerous stuff near our stuff. Very vague.
Expanding their military presence.
Oh, that is said with a straight face after all the military funding, after all the money, expanding their military. It is so unserious. Go ahead.
All I had to say because that stupid ass part. We spend more than the next 10 military countries combined. We got 800 military bases compared to China's 2. And now this is the headline from this April. Biden approves $29 billion increase in defense budget, but it's China being aggressive because they're increasing their military budget. Their increasing their military budget is less than how much we like increase the NYPD. That's like our police budget increase. This is bullshit.
Yeah, let me share this video again because you got to hear this other line. This freaking other line. Oh, oops, sorry. You put it in. I put it in at the same time.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I just listen to this when he talks about the bullying part.
I think a lot of people, especially in Congress, think this to be like, screw you, CCP. We're going to go to Taiwan and that's it. And on balance, I think the funny thing is now, because of what Biden did, because he made it so public, now she pretty much has to go. Now she can't back down. Now it would be a huge signal to Beijing that their bullying works. And then we just be living in a world full of bullying.
How are they saying this, Nick, with a straight face? How are we able to label anybody bullying, anything that any other country is doing, as bullying? And Nick, this is independent media.
Boy,
we're not watching CNN. Man. We're not watching CNN, where they have to stick to talking points that are approved by the people who bought them. This is independent media. Why have independent media if you're putting on the same just garbage that corporate media would do?
And you see, I'm not going to give too much attention, but Vosh today was saying that Nancy Pelosi, he was saying, yes, go to Taiwan. He now have the Taiwan flag in his profile. Now you got Breaking Points pushing this. You got Vosh and Breaking Points pushing this. The establishment is good, guys. They saw the rise of independent media. They saw people were leaving MSNBC and CNN, and they say, all right, this little independent media thing you guys got is cute. Let us infiltrate this shit real quick like we usually do. And people still
and they absolutely did. And they absolutely did. And the two that you bring up in Breaking Points and Vosh, those two are absolutely, I said this about Vosh a long time. I like, when I heard him, I'm like, I've heard him maybe 3 times. When I heard, I'm like, y'all think this person is not part of some alphabet crew? Is that what y'all really think? Like, I'm listening to the voice. Like, this is no need. Why is this person with this voice playing fucking video games?
Look, they do.
You think they plucked this motherfucker out? Go ahead.
I'm not gonna show his tweets, but he put the Taiwan flag in, and then he started tweeting stuff like, "Yeah, we gotta stand with the Taiwanese in this Sino war." Like, and then they were like, again. I'm like, you guys have been infiltrated. The CIA completely infiltrated the left. The Imperialists completely infiltrated people who consider themselves anti-establishment, and we see this with Breaking Points. So we can put
Breaking Points is just another one that we're chalking up, but we can come to an end to it unless you know if there's another section. If there's another section in there, but let's make sure we like the stream. Let's update. Last I checked, we were like at 290. We got 400 viewers. Can we get to 350? 350 likes. We got 408 viewers. That should be fairly easy. And then we'll get into another segment. How did he end it, though? Did he end it? I didn't watch it all the way to the end. Did he say, "Hey, let me push back on all the stuff at the end"? Did he say, "Hey, let me go ahead and run down all these lies you just said"? Did he do anything like that?
I think we provide enough context, and we about an hour in. You guys can check the rest of the video out. Yeah. It's pretty much just more Mike Pompeo nonsense. You guys get the gist of what he was saying, and they got no pushback. And also, I want to share this. I'm not gonna go too long into it. Just
go ahead. We can move to the next.
I want to share it just to round the segment up of who Saiger is, and Minpress News called this out. Saiger has infiltrated the Social Democrat left. Cal Kulinski gave him legitimacy. Chris Ball gave him legitimacy, but he's a fucking neocon. And this article goes through his history, who funded him. His neocon believes that he had in the past. They pretend he don't have anymore. This is his education background, studying. And the thing is, you listen to Saiger, he's open about this. He said, "Yeah, I used to study national security." What do you guys think that means? That's CIA shit. Now I'm gonna get to the Hudson. You see, a Hudson obsession on foreign policy, and Jetty seems to have been at least partially influenced by Hudson institution stances. And then he go on to explain the think tank that he aligned himself with has been pushing for war against China regarding Taiwan for years. And this is the people who Saiger buddy with. That's who the people they are interviewing on Breaking Points. A populist guide to hate in China. This is what I explained earlier. They will pretend they're populist because they're like, oh yeah, we don't like the war on terror because the war on terror is unpopular and they feel like it's a waste of resources. They like we need to fight China and socialist and communist countries. We need to wage a class war. That has been the position of Saiger, and he infiltrated the undisciplined left, the boutique left, and they see him as an ally now. And I say, and we can wrap the segment there, but I hope with the hour coverage of this, I hope we made our argument very clear. I'm not saying you should cancel these people if you enjoy their unserious coverage they do daily, right? But I'm just saying, I want you guys to understand their perspective on foreign policy. And Crystal, to be fair to her, she don't really talk that much about foreign policy. She just kind of let Saiger take the lead, which is damning, right? How is that not an interest of yours? But anyway, CJ, you can add anything you want. I can write the segment.
Yeah, we can close it with this. It speaks to Nick how the threshold to call yourself a leftist in the United States is so low, because the thing that makes the things that should be most important, that defines whether you're a left, which is foreign policy,
yes,
that
they don't care.
Should be at the top of the list. That's like secondary. That's like a la carte. Like what makes you a leftist in the United States is $15 minimum wage, Medicare for all, get money out of politics. I'm a leftist. I'm like Malcolm X. The other stuff is just a la carte. I can be pro-war or not and still be a leftist as long as I'm for $15 minimum wage when that's absolutely absurd. Do you know there's conservatives in other countries who think we should have single-payer health care? Single-payer health care doesn't tell you that you're a leftist, okay? It tells you that you're a human, that you're a humanist, not a leftist. Foreign policy more so. It being for wars or against war at all costs. That is or the types of things that make you a leftist.
I don't know if we read this one already, but we can go through a few super chats and I'll pass to you, CJ. I know you got a story. I just want to read the super chats to wrap that story up. Thank you for the $15. For once, I don't want any of what those bozos are on. Thank you for the support, my friend. I've seen people say this a few times already. Who's worse, Breaking Points or TYT? I wouldn't say I don't know, man. They're not at TYT level bad yet. Because remember, TYT smeared Aaron Mate, an anti-war journalist, for debunking U.S. talking points. Yeah. So there's levels to being bad. I would say Breaking Points is on their way. I would say that.
But they are way worse on foreign policy. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe because
Jenkins is worse at. Jenkins.
Jenkins worse. Okay.
Like Jenkins and Jimmy Dore had a debate about Syria, and like Jenkins not. He was unapologetic, like, yeah, we need to get involved. Yet the West involved in these conflicts actually make things better. And Jimmy was like, "Are you out of your fucking mind, bro?" I think I played that debate before, but there's a clip. Maybe
we did a stream one day. On Jenk on a particular take. I didn't know this is like how he is all the time, but we did a stream once on a particular take when he was calling out leftists. Because they were saying he was saying, yeah, leftists are not this because they're not leftists. They're just, wussies or something like that. He was saying, if you're anti-war in this situation, is what I think just based on worse.
Yeah, based on just the show of hands I see in the just chat real quick, I think TYT wins. Like TYT's win hands down to answer your question, Nima. So that was a funny thought experiment. Thank you for the 49 ounce Frank. I was done with that trash Breaking Points when Saiger called Nicole Hannah-Jones of hack. He loves to dismiss racism. See, I don't watch the show. I can only imagine the amount of bad takes you hear from this dude every day. I don't watch it. Like, if they cover something, like, that's why this caught my attention. I saw Taiwan. So I was like, because I like to hear opposing viewpoints. I saw they covered that. Like, all right, I want to see how they cover that, right? I was critical of their Ukraine coverage, because I saw them have a live stream about that. Like, I want to see how they covered that. And they disappoint me every single time. For the most part, I see their videos. I'm like, shit not interesting to me. Like, it's just very drama-filled, electoral politics focused. And I'm not trying to get you guys to cancel it. I'm just giving my opinion. We don't have to go on all day on it, though. CJ?
Yeah. And let me speak to Well, they just love to give different viewpoints. You know what? No. Because
Yeah,
what
no.
independent media should not be doing is giving CIA, NATO talking points under any circumstance,
Oh,
whether you're conservative or not. Like it doesn't matter. They're not it doesn't matter. Independent media should not be having pro-war talking points straight from the CIA and NATO. Period.
I apologize. I have one more thing I want to share. It shouldn't be that long. I want to share this part of the segment. So I'm adding this part because even breaking points on the audience.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I want to share this part. I'll wrap the segment up with this for real. Even breaking points on audience, and I actually found it surprising because there was polls that showed that breaking points audience is very right wing. When they was asked about Taiwan before, and it was asked if the United States should get involved if China invades Taiwan, and then like 60% of their supporters said yes. So I wouldn't say their audience is completely right wing, but I would say they're definitely leaning towards right wing on foreign policy at least. So then I checked the comments knowing this, and I was actually surprised. I wasn't expecting this. If you look at the comment section in this video, even they are calling bullshit. Here's the compilation. And if I promise to God, I did not like cherry pick. You guys can check the video out yourself. Like you guys can fact check me yourself. But here are some comments. I'm not gonna read them all. And I picked these, like you notice the comments I picked, they are all top comments. Like these are comments with a lot of likes.
Oh
so
yeah, a lot of likes, yeah.
So I'm not picking the unpopular ones. I literally, honest to God, just picked the first ones I seen. And I was shocked. And then you see the first one, their stuff near our stuff, mocking them. Another comment, why is no one asking the purpose of Pelosi's visit to Taiwan? A vacation? Why is it that no one is reporting on the reason why their own audience is saying, why aren't you guys asking these questions? He said, this is really the most simple question to answer, and I have not heard it from any news source. This is a person who needs to subscribe to RBN, right?
Yes.
Mainstream media, which is breaking news, is not talking about this. I'm going to try to speed up, but Josh Rogan's use of Chinese Communist Party as opposed to Chinese government is telling. 96 likes. This is their audience calling them out. I'm going to go to the next page because this one's some good ones. Look, a lot of likes on these. I'm not picking these out. Damn, he being sarcastic. Damn, I love listening to American propagandists. Thanks, Breaking Points. Here's another one. And he quoting the guy. Once again, they mocking him for his insane stance. This guy said, they're constantly doing more dangerous stuff near our stuff. Wow, Breaking Points. Real sophisticated analysis here. What a clown show. So even their own audience, who I thought was more.
Oh, it's no more. Oh man, I'll read more of those later. I'll read more later.
Yeah, check out my tweet. I won't write the segment. You can do your. We already did the segment for a while, but CJ, you can add on to your next point. But you guys, audience was like, damn, you guys are going pretty right wing here. Go check the video out. Check. It's even there's a lot of comments roasting. They're like, damn, I can't believe Breaking Points is turning right. Like there's a lot of people like shocked at this segment. And I saw people get faith in these networks and people, and then they just go awry. Like y'all can trust that RBN that's never gonna happen.